Hi, this is Ed from Musica Lessons, and we're going to take a look at I See Fire by Ed Sheeran. Now, Sheeran was commissioned to write this tune for Peter Jackson's 2013 feature film, The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug. Now, Ed Sheeran wasn't on Peter Jackson's radar. It was Jackson's daughter, Katie, who suggested that her dad get Sheeran to write the song for the movie, and it results in it's played over the closing credits. Now, upon getting the phone call from Peter Jackson, Ed Sheeran wrote, produced, and recorded most of the track elements of the tune that same day. All right, now I encourage you to check out the blog post because there's a Wikipedia link where you could find out the full story behind how Sheeran was commissioned to write this tune. But there's a YouTube link so you can check out the video. There is a link to the lyrics and the tabs. However, I am going to provide you with a chord chart that you can check out. There's also a song spec section which gives you the tempo, the key, the techniques that we're going to cover, and the chords, which we're going to take a look at in the next section. All right, so come on back and I'll go over some playing tips for you. I See Fire is in the key of B flat minor. However, don't let that scare you. We're going to use a capo here at the 6th fret, and we're going to play in E minor. And the tune has a haunting melody. It has a beautiful minor key melody that we're going to go over. But the tune is actually quite simple. So don't be put off by the capo, the key that it's actually in, because we're going to break down the chords and the techniques. So this is a really cool tune for beginning fingerstyle players as well. All right, so grab your guitar and we will take a look at the chords. As I said, we're using the capo at the 6th fret, and we're in the key of E minor, so we're going to use a garden variety E minor chord. The other chords in this key are a G chord. Now, I prefer using the 4-finger version of the G chord. But you don't have to. Don't get too hung up on the chord voicings that I use. You can use similar voicings. You can use a 2-finger version if you'd like. There's the 3-finger version. There's this other 3-finger version. Whichever G chord you're into, you can play. There's also an A minor chord, and that's your garden variety A minor chord. And B minor is going to be the trickiest one. It's you're going to create a bar at the 2nd fret and then fill in with your 2nd, 3rd, and 4th fingers. For the B minor, garden variety C, and garden variety D. Okay, so review those chords, come back, and we will take a look at the fingerstyle pattern. We're going to take a look at the right hand. Okay, we're going to take a look at a variety of fingerstyle techniques, but they're not as tricky as the names might lead you to believe. All right, first let's go over the essence of fingerstyle playing, where we're assigning a finger to a string. Now your thumb is going to be playing the bass notes, the lowest note of the chord on either the 4th, 5th, or 6th strings. Your index, middle, and ring fingers are going to work in string sets. What that means is that your index is going to get assigned to the 4th string, your middle to the 3rd string, and your ring finger to the 2nd string, and they're going to work together to play the chords. Now when I say string sets, what I can do is I can take that right hand pattern and I can move that index, middle, and ring also to the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd strings. So I get those two different sounds. And all that changes is at the top note on the guitar. You can hear that in the melody. All right, so one of the techniques, let me just break down each one of the techniques first. It's going to be a block chord technique where I pinch everything together. Then there's a bass chord technique where I separate the thumb with the fingers. You can also do an arpeggiated technique which loosens up the index, middle, and ring fingers, and I just loosely interpret this as I feel it. You can also add some finger strumming if you'd like. And for this one, I use my index and middle as though they were a pick, and I just brush up and down. You get some nice different colors that way. All right, so you can mix and match these as you'd like, and I freely interpret it based on the feeling that I'm getting when I'm performing it or when I'm playing with the singer, how they're interpreting it. So I have all of these tools available to me if I need them. So it's a very loose interpretation of how I'm going to bring it in. It's all based on the performance of the moment, right? Which is really cool because it gives you an opportunity to be creative with your accompaniment pattern. All right, so come on back and we're going to start breaking down the tune. The intro is based on a 2-bar riff that goes from E minor, C to D, back to E minor. That'll conclude the cycle. Each chord gets 2 beats. 2 beats of C, 2 beats of D, 2 beats of E minor. However, on the first E minor, you're playing this riff, and the riff is, I play it with my 6th string open, so that's ringing out at the same time that I pinch with my index finger on the 3rd string 2nd fret. Now what follows is a hammer-on, pull off, and then pull off to the open string. So it's a double pull off. And then my first finger is going to play the 4th string 2nd fret, and then pull off to the open. And if you add that bass note, it really fills it out. Followed by the C chord, the D chord, and the E chord. And now I'm very loose with my right hand. I sometimes use block chord, I sometimes use bass chord. And arpeggios. All right, so work on that and we'll go over the verse in a second. The verse is 8 measures. It's a series of 2-bar chord riffs. All right, now the first chord riff is E minor for 2 beats, G for 2 beats, D for 2 beats, and C for 2 beats. The next time it does the same thing, E minor for 2 beats, G for 2 beats, D for 2 beats, but now it goes to A minor. The third time is the same as the first, E minor for 2 beats, G for 2 beats, D for 2 beats, C for 2 beats, and then here it has this little tag ending that goes A minor, B minor, and C. Okay, so those are the chords. Look at the chord chart so you can follow along because it sounds much more confusing when I explain it rather than if you just were to look at it. For the right hand technique, I use block chords, arpeggios, and that's pretty much those 2 techniques. I bounce back and forth. I use the arpeggios to answer the voice. So if the voice is singing, I'll use block chords. Then I'll do a little bit of a fill. just to give it a little bit of texture. All right, so work on that, and I'll see you back here in a second. There's a segue between the verse and the chorus, and that segue is pretty much just this main riff. And it's played once before we go to the chorus. The chorus is 9 measures long, but really what it is, it's try to look at it as 4 2-bar phrases, and then they just add an extra measure at the end. Okay, so let's take a look at the 2-bar phrases. Pretty much follow the chords for the main riff, which is 2 beats of E minor, 2 beats of C, 2 beats of D, and 2 beats of E minor. That repeats 4 times. And on the 4th time, instead of playing an E minor as the final chord in the chord riff, we play an A minor. So here it is with an E minor at the end. And the last time, and we let that A ring out for 6 beats. So it rings out for a measure and a half. That's the extra, that's the 9th measure. And what it does is it adds tension. So it's a really cool songwriting tool that they use. Okay, now for the accompaniment, what I'm doing is I'm using the finger strum technique. So I'm just using my index and middle fingers. All right, so I'm going down and up. When I go down, on the down strums, I use a little bit of nail to get a little bit more of a percussive effect. On the up strums, I try to catch the fingertips to get a little bit of a softer texture, so it creates a nice little contrast. All right. However, feel free to mix and match the techniques that we talked about in the fingerstyle section. And I hope that you enjoyed learning I See Fire. I certainly enjoyed putting it together for you. Now I do quite a bit of duo gigs, and when the singer knows this tune and we play this tune, it certainly turns heads because people don't expect it. So it's a great tune to add to your repertoire. It's a great tune to work on your fingerstyle techniques because there's a variety of techniques that we can use for this tune. All right? Thanks for hanging with me. I'll see you here next time.